Boom. I loved giving myself an applause, a drum roll, all of those things. They're fun to do. Good afternoon, good morning to those of you that are listening. Well, actually, good everything because we got people listening all over the world, right? So, good morning, good afternoon, happy Friday. Thank you for tuning in we're doing real talk with Karen, Stacy, and Dondre Whitfield today. We are so lucky, right? Because we have like the man, the legend in the building today, which I couldn't be happier about. Dondre has been a lifelong friend. He's like a brother to me, and nothing makes me happier than to get the opportunity to hang out with him for a little bit. And I brought you guys along for the ride. Dondre, are you with me?
Yes, I am.
Well, good
As I'm
morning to
listening,
you.
good morning. I'm listening to you eulogize me, which feels like I died,
Oh God,
and
I'm
having this.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm kind of in that mode right now. As you know, I just lost my dog, so I guess I'm feeling a little nostalgic or whatever you want to call it. So certainly
Ah,
don't want to say that you are more alive than ever. So if I didn't do justice, I apologize.
no, you definitely did justice. It just sounded like when you talk about that, that's the kind of stuff. Unfortunately, it's the kind of stuff that most people don't get to hear about themselves, until they leave here.
Yeah, and ain't that
So I mean, it was
that's a
actually a
big
compliment.
problem.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
is
no
definitely
doubt.
a big problem. Yes,
It's a
absolutely.
problem.
Yeah, that
I
is a
feel
problem.
I feel like, if more people spoke, while people were here, the
Yep.
world would be a better place.
Yes, indeed. What's interesting about this actually is that um, this morning, as I was, getting the day started, the kids, of course, out to school, three dogs, the wife, all that.
Right.
I literally said because I have been experiencing people um, who use their past, as
Mm-hmm.
their pass, to
Uh-huh.
not show up the way they should show up.
Yep.
Well, I would do better, but when I was
Yep.
6,
Yep.
this happened. Or I would do better, but when I was 33, I would do better, but yesterday, listen to me. My father kidnapped me when I was 6 years old. When I was 14 years old, I had a gun put to my head while they were trying to rob my best friend of his leather bomber jacket. My father
I
never
think.
taught me how to be a man. I all these kinds of I got jumped when I was in my
Yep.
when I was on television. So all these kinds of things that have happened in my past, but I
Mm-hmm.
never use any of it as my past. And this
Mm-hmm.
morning I literally said, you know what? So your listeners are getting a preview of the post that I'm going to do on my Instagram about this very thing. Who would you be if you found out that you were dying right now?
Mm-hmm.
If you found out that you were dying right now, and God said to you, I don't want to offend anyone. God is prevalent in my life. It may not be in other people's lives, but whatever the higher being that you look to for spiritual guidance in your walk, or if you don't have any at all, if you just call it the universe,
Yep.
whatever you look to for spiritual center, if that spiritual center said you're dying and by the end of today you will be dead, but what I'm going to do is, if you promise to commit to stop using your past as your past, I will extend you new life.
Hmm.
Who would you be then? Who would you be then when you didn't use that past as your excuse or use as your past to not show up as the better version of yourself? Who would you be then?
Well, I would be me. But
Well, we know
it's,
about you.
no, I'm just
But
saying, I'm answering the
yeah,
question. But you know what? It's really, and this is the funny thing about
or I should
what,
say, how would you be?
no, I would be me. So what I
Mm-hmm.
mean by that is I just had this conversation with someone the other day, and I've spoken about this a number of times as well because, for instance, I'll give you for instance, for those people that are tuned in that don't know, I lost my husband when my son was 5 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and he was in school, and they were doing a lesson on family. And when he came home, and you had to write the people in your family and all of that, right? So obviously that was tough because it was very new to
Yeah.
us losing his father. And
Mm-hmm.
I said to him, we wrote down, the other people, his uncle, his grandparents, me, yada, yada, right? So I said to him, I realized that there's one big void here, but look at all that you have. Look at all of the love that you have. So when I spoke to the teacher said to me, "Oh my God, I feel terrible. Maybe we should have skipped that lesson." And I said, "Absolutely not. You don't skip the lesson. Maybe you hug him. Maybe you sit next to him while you're doing the lesson so he feels supported, but he doesn't get a pass
Mm-hmm.
because his father died. He gets extra love. He gets extra attention, hopefully, right? But he doesn't get a pass. And so I was just talking to somebody very recently who is having some health issues, and they were like, "Well, but I have this, and well, but I got to deal with that." And I go, "Okay, well, I do that too. Like this one does that too. Okay, I get it." So the problem, I think, a big problem is that people do not, and I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I feel that people do not make peace with their past. So it's constantly, it's not their past, right? It's their present because, oh, well, I can, like I could use the same thing. I could say, well, I could write out I'm a single parent, I'm a widow. I mean, we all been through stuff, right? I mean, everybody's been through things. Like you just said, you had a gun held to your head, you had this, you had that, and which is like not completely abnormal, sadly, to say. So your past makes you who you are today, but um I feel like when you just said, "Who are you?" I would be the person I am today because I have used what has happened to me in the past to make me a more authentic, organic, transparent, um, accountable human, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It does make sense. And what's interesting is that that should be the answer for all of us, right? That
Right,
we should be using the things that happened to us in our past,
right.
and instead of using it as a past to not show up, use
Yep,
it as an activator to show up,
yep,
right? It should be the kind of food that we use to show up in a better mental, emotional, and spiritual way, right? My father not showing up for me when I was a kid, and me having an explosive, sort of tumultuous relationship with my mom at times because I sort of reminded her of him, and then the hardship of a single mom raising a
Mm-hmm.
child in a turbulent environment like Brooklyn, and
Mm-hmm.
not having all the tools herself. My mom was very young when she had me, and so now you get this person who's still learning to be you know their own adult self, and struggling with uh, raising a child in that kind of environment can really lead to some very violent and outrageous behaviors at times. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you get put into those situations, it's one of the reasons why I got motivated to write my book, Male versus Man, because I didn't want anyone to suffer through coming into their manhood, matriculating into their manhood the way I had to, because I didn't have a model that I could mirror. Right. And so
Right.
we
And
should
that's
all again be using our past as an activator to do something for the better good of humanity.
right. So there are a lot of people that are probably listening right now, and they're saying, all right, well, how do I do that?
Oh
Like,
boy.
okay,
Yep.
that sounds good. So, like, to
Yep.
break it down, right? So if you want to say, so if people are just joining us right now, we kind of went off topic ish a little bit today, because apparently
It's
this
on
was
topic. I'm gonna
ish.
prove it.
Ish. I said
Okay.
ish.
Okay.
I said ish. I know
Okay.
it's the prelude. I got it. It's the prelude to
Yes.
the kiss. I got that.
Yes.
But I
Yes.
just had to, So for anybody that's just joining us right now, first of all, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're listening from. With me today, we're doing some real talk today. We don't usually do real talk at noon, but when you got Dondre, you got to go real talk. And so I have Dondre Whitfield on with me today. And we were just talking about, do you use your past as a pass? So PAST and PASS. And of course, with my accent, God knows what that sounds like, but that's okay. Um, so we're talking about that right now. So Dondre spoke about things that he's gone through in his past, that and I spoke about things that I went through in my past. And so how do you not allow your how do you not have a pass for your past?
Yeah, it's such a good question, because so many people that I talk to on a day to day basis, particularly the people that I counsel in these areas, they always say, "Well, how do I get to the other side of that?"
Right.
And so, to get really back on topic, and to your point, this is absolutely the prelude to the kiss. Our past has to be the thing that activates our purpose, right? And so, my past with my father not being the model that I could mirror in order for me to properly matriculate into manhood left a gaping hole in my heart, and left me without the information and instruction that I need in order to become the man that I was intended to become when I was created, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I often counsel my clients into understanding that the key to uncovering your purpose is sifting through your pain.
Uh-huh.
So when we talked about the past, we were
Yep.
talking about the past with the idea of the past uh, being
Painful.
very painful, right?
Right.
And that
Right.
we're using our past that is painful as a
Yep.
past to just show up in all the wrong ways, right?
Right. But
Well,
wait, hold on. I'm going to interrupt you. But
of course.
then you have people that would say to you, yeah, but mine is, it's worse. It's
Yes.
painful. And I, no, and there's always that. And it's like, and it's hard, because sometimes you have to really stop a person, and you don't want to, like, you almost like, you got to shake them a little bit, right? Because a lot of
Yeah.
people will keep going back to, but and you're
Yes.
like, okay,
Yes.
so now for all those people, like, that's the thing, right? The first thing is that they have to become accountable for
Yes.
right? They're reactions, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So you hit on something that's really important. My son is 13 years old, and one of the things, I'm a huge golfer, and my son now is really getting into the game, and the
Mm-hmm.
game can be extremely frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
And at times, because he is and has been good at every other sport that I've introduced him to, this game is somewhat different. And so at times he will have these demonstrative, reactions
Mm-hmm.
towards him not showing up the way he wants to show up. And I said,
Right.
son, listen to me. I'm not telling you, I hate when people say, or excuse me, I dislike when people say you have to control your emotions.
Right.
You don't have to control your emotions. You have to control your responses. To your point, your
Mm-hmm.
reactions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I am allowed to, as a human being, be
Absolutely.
angry, be
Yep.
sad,
Yep.
all of those things, right?
Yep.
And the reason why I know that is because those emotions were put in me for a very specific reason, right? They're not coincidence that
Right.
that I'm capable of feeling emotions. So
Right.
I'm not required to control my emotions, right? I'm required to control my responses. So when you
Right.
look at all of the things that are happening in society where you see, and I don't want to mention names because I don't want people to feel like we're disparaging a person. I never attack a person. I address a position. So when you
Yeah.
see
Me
these,
too. Me too.
yeah, yeah.
That's
So
what I
when
do.
you
I never, you don't need to call anybody out. You just use it as a learning experience,
exactly
um,
that.
by giving an example. Exactly.
That's right. So we the reason why we've been seeing or we have been blessed with seeing people show up as the lesser versions of themselves is for
Uh-huh.
us to see that's what that kind of behavior looks like on me if I don't show up well,
Mm.
right? So we're seeing celebrities be
Mm-hmm.
violent towards people, right? These people that we hold up on these pedestals and all of these other things. These kinds of responses are evidence that there is work to be done in their life about surrounding some very specific issues,
Right.
right? So the world is going to be what it is.
Right.
The world at times can be very disgusting.
Yeah.
It can be
Har-
very toxic.
Hard.
It can be hard, attacking,
Unfair.
unfit,
Unfair.
abusive, all of those
Mm.
things,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the expectation for some people is that somehow the world is supposed to be this glorious, magnificent, benevolent, nurturing place that's always going to be an advocate for us.
Oh God, wouldn't
And
that be nice?
it's not life. And
I know.
here's what I want our folks to understand. One of the reasons why we experience things in life like that is to serve as a litmus test to where
Hmm.
we really are in our walk. So when you get exposed to these certain things, it's kind of like think of it like an airborne illness, right? You get exposed to those airborne illnesses in order for you to understand just how well your body is capable of fighting off those illnesses,
Mm.
how well your immune system is actually working, right?
Right.
So your emotional, mental, spiritual immune system is being tapped into in order to give you an indication about where you are in your journey as an evolved human being, as an
And
elevated human being.
to take that a step further, it actually does impact your immune system because if
Yeah.
like literally, because if
Hmm.
you are harboring all of these things, they manifest inside of you. And anybody that suffered from anxiety or depression, that is debilitating. I mean, you have an
Hmm.
anxiety attack, you're going to the hospital if you've never had one before because you think you just had a heart attack.
Hmm.
So what happens is that, and I learned this at a young age as well, is that when we suppress these things, and we keep going, like, because like you just said, life is unfair, life is, keeps going, and yada yada. So what do? You got to keep going, right? So
Hmm.
you find coping mechanisms, and a lot of times those coping mechanisms may not be the healthiest mechanisms, but they're the ones that you use because maybe you don't have a better example, right? Like what you were saying with your dad. So
Hmm.
a lot of people don't realize that when they become physically ill, it could be a direct impact from their emotional and mental state.
Hmm. No, absolutely that, because that, to that point, it becomes a manifestation of all the things that you're being exposed to, right? And
Right.
so whenever I never get um, upset at the world for being what I know the world is,
Right.
right? I expect that, right? My job now is to allow the things that I have um, done in terms of the work on myself to take over in order to navigate what I'm being exposed to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then find a way for me to decompress, find my peace center, because I know the following day I'm going to be exposed to the exact same thing, right?
Exactly, and that was another conversation I was having, because the whole thing is that, like you said, life is going to keep coming at you. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people might say, right? You have people that say, "Well, I'm going to move to another state. If I move to another state, I'll be fine," right? So that's a great idea in theory. And maybe if you live in a state where everything is crazy, which is everywhere at this point, but that's a whole other topic, and you move to a different state so you have a better surrounding and that helps, then that's great. But it doesn't mean that if a lot of people think if they just remove themselves from that their problems will go away. But if you move to another state and you don't handle your problems, they're following you to the other state, correct?
No, no question, because wherever you go, there you are, right? So every so that it's exactly what you're speaking about. It's like the person who has issues in their relationship, and they change out their partner like they're changing socks, right? Like, oh,
Yep.
it must be my
Yep.
partner,
Yeah,
so
there
I'm
are
just going to
no
change
good,
partners.
right. There are no good guys. There are no good girls
Exactly,
out there.
exactly.
I love that.
Hmm.
I love that. And I'm
Hmm.
like, what's the common denominator?
Exactly.
Who's the
It's you.
common denominator? Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. Like it's one of the reasons why we have to keep saying to ourselves, and I do this with the couples that I work with. I always say, your job is to say, I am the problem, but I'm also the solution. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I want us to say that? Because we're required to do our work for ourselves. You can't do the work for your partner.
Uh-huh.
You cannot change your partner. Your
Mm-hmm.
partner is only going to be the sum total of the work that they do. So
Yep.
in other words, if they respond in the same way that they used to respond 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, they are not doing any work on themselves.
So now
You
what
can
do
be
you
in, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I mean, so
No,
now
no, of course.
I'm just thinking, so I'm listening to it, and I always try to do not devil's advocate, but I always try to flip things. So
Right.
somebody is listening right now, right? And we're trying to say that, you have to be accountable, and you have to own it and grow from it, right? So now
Yep.
what if somebody listening right now is not self-aware? What if somebody that's listening right now is saying, well, that makes a lot of sense, but
Mm-hmm.
how do I do that? Or like, I don't do that. Or maybe,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the first thing to say is, do I do that? Right? I mean,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if you and I love the way you framed it because that's perfect because I use this expression all the time. I really dislike being around people uh who are not self-aware,
yeah, and
who
always
don't
right.
have yeah, who don't have a consciousness about how they show up. Look,
Yep.
if you're struggling to figure out how you're showing up,
Yep.
guess what? Ask people who are around you
Yep.
closely, how am I showing up for you?
Yep.
Because they're going to tell you. If you give them the permission to tell
Right.
you how you're showing up, the people around you who really care about you are going to tell you,
Right.
right?
You know what the hard
You're
the hard part about that is that some people don't have people that really care about them.
absolutely,
That's a tough thing, and
that
that
is a
there
tough
are.
thing.
Right. And also not having people that you trust, because like for me
Yep.
personally,
Mm-hmm.
I do what you were just saying, in the sense of, I know I have a very strong personality, right? So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, I mean, I've worked on this, but sometimes I come off in a way that people are already going up against me when I haven't even said anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm very sensitive. So
Mm-hmm.
somebody may do or say something, and my first reaction, I'm like, and I'll turn around and like I'll try to breathe, and I tell everybody, like, the 3 second rule, like, you're not supposed to, if it lands on the floor for 3 seconds, kiss it up to God and eat it, right? So I
Right.
always tell people, 3 second rule, like, you gotta, like I say it to my son, you gotta take a breath, you gotta wait the three
Mm-hmm.
seconds, sometimes longer, before
Mm-hmm.
you react and respond. And so I will do that. I will turn around, and Carmela can vouch for it because she's on here right now, because there are things that go on. You know what this business is like. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, is it me? Is it me? Did I, was that me? Did I say the wrong thing? Was I whatever? Like, and I always say, did I come off wrong? Like, did I, was I offensive? Was I, this, was I that? And, a lot of times, like you said, if you have good people around, they will, they'll give you back that feedback,
Mm-hmm.
and they might say, and again, when somebody is asking you these questions, don't be an ass when you answer them. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you got to be kind when you speak, to say, you know what, Kat, you know how you are. You do come off strong, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think blah, blah, blah. Or, yeah, you kind of did. So maybe you got to kind of like apologize, or whatever the case may be, But that's the problem, is that a lot of people don't have that sounding board, if you will, because a lot of people stroke other people. So instead of being honest and saying what somebody really doesn't want to hear but needs to hear, people will stroke those people. So, how do you set yourself up for success?
Well, this is a very easy one, right? So in my book, I talk about there are two different languages, right? There is kerosene language, and then there is protein language.
Hmm.
Protein language is the kind of language that helps to build people up. Kerosene language is the kind of language that will burn people down. So
Mm.
if somebody asks you, "Hey, how am I showing up?" Now, I'll give you an example. Let's say my wife asks me, "Babe, how do I look in this dress?" Now, first of all, it's a horrible
Dangerous.
question to ask a man. It's
Yes,
a horrible
dangerous.
question. It's a horrible
Dangerous.
question to ask a man. Okay,
Dangerous.
but because I am uh, so much more infinitely. smart than I was in my 20s if I didn't think that that dress, if I thought that she was, look, over COVID, we've all gained COVID weight, right? So we're all not the versions of ourselves that we were pre-COVID, right? So,
Speak for yourself.
well, I'm just saying that many,
I'm only
excuse me,
kidding. I'm
many
only
of us,
kidding.
right? So some people, right? Some of us have gained
Right,
some COVID weight, right?
right,
And so we aren't the version of ourselves that we were pre-COVID, right? And
right,
so let's say in your mind you did think that someone gained weight and that now that dress may not fit them the same way. You
right.
could answer, I'm going to give you the kerosene answer first.
Uh huh.
That dress makes you look fat.
Right.
Here's the protein language. I don't think that dress makes you look the way I see you.
Mm hmm.
I
Mm
don't
hmm.
think that makes you look your best.
Right,
I
right. No,
can
absolutely.
convey the same thing
Same thing.
but use different language that won't burn you down but
Right.
activate you to actually do something.
Right. I got to tell you a funny story. My husband was a very matter of fact, like just he was a straight shooter. You think I shoot straight? He's real straight. So I would say to him, "Babe, does this dress make my hips look big?" And he was like, "Yeah, you have big hips." I was freaking
Hmm.
peeing my pants. He's like, but I love them. But it was like,
Hmm.
it was an honest answer, right? Because I
Hmm.
asked a point blank question, to my hips look big in this outfit. And the answer was yes. But he
Hmm.
didn't make me feel like I was a fat ass.
Right.
He just said, well, yeah, like, I'm not going to lie to you. Obviously, that dress does accentuate your hips, which I'm good with. As long as
Right.
you're good with it, then
Right.
that's all that matters. So yeah, I mean, again, it really does matter, like the company we keep, right? Because if you're in a fragile state and you keep company around you that doesn't empower you and doesn't support you, then you're never going to be able to stand straight up. I mean, and
Hmm.
eventually, I think I could be, I mean, I see it in myself. Eventually, as you gain, um, as you gain that support, you no longer need it to the same degree
Hmm.
because it helps you form your core and who and what you are. So this way, when somebody does say to you, well, like, you look fat in that dress, you turn around and you shake it, you shake what your mama gave you, and you don't really
Hmm.
care what they think. But it's a
Hmm.
really hard place to get to.
Absolutely, it's a tough place to get to. But here's what we have to really accept. We have to accept that we are not responsible for fixing anyone.
Mm-hmm.
We have to accept that the only person that we are responsible to fix is ourselves. And if you've
Mm-hmm.
grown up on this earth, everybody, like I said, you have to fix you because you're broken. Well, how do you know I'm broken? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you've been born on this earth, you're broken because this planet breeds toxicity. So there's
Mm-hmm.
going to be something, I don't care who you are, what environment you've grown up in, something has attacked you, something has harmed you, something has traumatized you, something has shifted who you were when you were first born and impacted you to the degree that it has made you the lesser version of yourself prior to being traumatized. So every single day, our job is to triage our heart, triage our spirit, right? In order for us to show up as the better version of ourselves. But we have to be intentional about that kind of action,
Right.
right?
It doesn't happen by accident.
No, it definitely doesn't happen by accident. And that I really want us to segue into what we were talking about, or what we originally were having the room be about, which was passion versus purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of those things that we just talked about. And I said earlier that the way for us to access our purpose is to sift through our pain, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how we actually uncover our purpose. So I was most in pain about my father, which is why, because he showed up as a male, right? And just so our listeners understand my definition that I write about in my book, Male versus Man. Males listen, and sisters, you better listen to this. And by the way, when I say sisters, I'm not talking about color, I'm talking about consciousness. So any woman who can hear the sound of my voice when I say sisters, that means you. Males look to be served while men look to be of service. There is a gigantic difference between those two, because I hear people all the time, aren't those the same? Absolutely not. Every man that you meet is a male, but not every male that you meet is a man. So my father showed up as a male his entire life, never truly matriculated into manhood when I was a child, not until much later on when he found Islam and received information and instruction through the Quran and his journey in Islam. I didn't find that out until much later in my life, right? But because I had experienced so much pain in dealing with my father, and then the pain of me losing my best friend, and I talk about this in the prerequisite, which is actually the what the preface usually would be in any other book. I talk about this in Male versus Man, where I felt like I had an assignment to look after my best friend, and I abandoned him
Mm.
selfishly. And my best friend died as a result of me abandoning him in that hour. And so the pain of my father and the pain of me losing my best friend taught me how much work I really needed to put in order for me to show up as the man that I knew that I was intended to be when I was created. So all of that pain defined my purpose. And so now my purpose is to help males matriculate into manhood for the betterment of humanity. That is my purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference between purpose versus passions, right? Because all of us have a lot of things that we enjoy doing, the things
Yeah.
that we're passionate about. I'm
Yeah.
passionate about acting.
Yeah.
It's not my purpose. I'm passionate about horseback riding. It's not my purpose. I'm passionate about golf, scuba diving, all this. They are not my purpose. Here's the
Mm-hmm.
difference. Your
Mm-hmm.
passions serve you. Your purpose serves
Serves others.
others.
Real
So
talk.
the key to sustained happiness and peace is you being able to walk out your purpose. The reason why you meet so many people who are miserable, and I'm talking about, I know people who are very highly accomplished people, all the money in the
Mm-hmm.
world, all the accolades in the
Mm-hmm.
world, still miserable human
Miserable.
beings. You know
Mm-hmm.
why? Because they're really great at walking out their passion. They have no idea what their purpose is.
Yeah. Very
So
true.
they oversaturate themselves with, the person who's the workaholic. I gotta do this. I gotta
Yep.
go. Oh,
Yep.
because they don't know
Yep.
why they're here. So
Well,
they
it's
think if I
also
do one more project, that will feed it. If I buy one more Louis Vuitton bag, that
right.
will do it. If I buy one more pair of red bottoms, if I buy some more diamonds,
Right.
that will do it.
But that's
And that
also a
has absolutely nothing to
distraction.
do with it.
Well,
That's
that's a
exactly,
distraction.
no, Kay. That's exactly what it is. We
Yep.
need those distractions in order
Yeah.
to distract us from the pain that we're actually
Yep.
going through and not knowing
Yep.
what our purpose is.
Exactly right.
Right?
Yep.
So we
No.
need more sex, we need more diamonds, we need more bags, we need more accolades, we need more money in
or
order to distract
projects.
us. Exactly. In
A
order
lot of
to
people
distract
do
us from
that.
not knowing what our purpose is.
Right.
The majority of human beings on the face of this earth do that because
Yep.
let me give you an example. How many times has anyone ever had a conversation with you about purpose, about teaching you about what purpose is? Not very
Right.
many,
No.
because
No.
our world is not tuned in to what that is.
Right.
Our world is tuned into uh, 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 consuming. So
Yep.
what the world teaches you is,
And
hey, if you want to be a
obtaining.
great, yeah, if you want to be a great consumer, right, then you have to obtain money in order to be able to consume. No one ever tells you about being of service, and that is the
Mm-hmm.
pathway to sustained happiness. How do you think people who don't have who live in shanties
Mm-hmm.
can be happy or be at peace?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it isn't about money. It's not about purchasing helicopters
Yep.
or private jets. It's
Yep.
about knowing how
Peace.
you exactly.
It's
That
about
peace
peace
comes from you being able to
inside.
be of service to others. That's the way we were created. We were
Mm-hmm.
created to be of service to others.
Right. Well, see, but a lot of people don't, and that's what I'm saying too. A lot of people don't recognize what they do because it's always, I have, friends, I have people, and it's always, they're, like you said, they're working, they're building this, they're building that. Okay. And then it's always somebody that has to do a project. They're rearranging the furniture in their house. They're cleaning the closets. They're, this, and not that any of these things are bad things, but it's always something. So the funny
Yes.
thing that I learned from this, this thing we call life is I learned that it's very important to be quiet and still.
Yes.
And it's a very hard thing to do. And I will tell you, even in my own, from this week, for instance, on Monday, my 15-year-old pit bull was put down, and Monday was my birthday. And it was hard because growing up, my mother always, I mean, for a few reasons it was hard, but one of the things is growing up, my mom always made it like a big deal about my birthday. And my mom didn't make a big deal about a lot of things, but my birthday, she always did. So I always felt like a princess on my birthday because it was all about me. And like no other days were all about me. And this day was always all about me. And I remember when my husband was alive and he was like, Karen, really? We're going to celebrate for a goddamn month? I mean, how long is your birthday? I'm like, damn right we are. It's my freaking birthday. It's my month and we're going to celebrate. And, now my mom doesn't, my mom suffers from dementia and she doesn't, I think she knows who I am, but she doesn't speak, she doesn't anything, right? So that's hard
Wow.
enough, right? My husband isn't here, so that's hard enough. The list goes on. But anyway, my dog of 15 years, a pit bull, and her legs just gave out on her on Saturday. And so we thought she was leaving us Saturday night. And then Sunday, she perked up a little bit. We thought she was going to be good. And then unfortunately, when they called the vet and we wanted to bring her in, we were trying to do it for Tuesday. And the only time the vet had was Monday. So now my father wants to take me out for my birthday. My son is sick, so he can't go out. And I don't know what to do. And I'm crying. I'm just, and so my son is like, Mom, this isn't going anywhere. I want you to, go out with grandpa and just get away from this for a little bit and go celebrate life. And my son, my 13-year-old son said to me, life isn't about mourning. It's about living. So you need to celebrate life, celebrate her life and celebrate your birthday. So I went out and of course for a little bit. And of course I was, not very good company, fighting back the tears or whatever. And the moral to this was that I said to myself, Tuesday, I am going to be still and I'm going to be quiet. And I stood in my house. I didn't shower. I didn't change my clothes. I didn't really move. People were texting me, calling me. I was very limited. My son was home that day too. We barely spoke to each other. It was just, we both, like I said, I'm going to take that time to feel what I'm feeling. And I said, to Wednesday, I'm going to wake up and it's going to be another day. And Wednesday, I woke up. I had a pretty decent day on Wednesday, all things considered. Yesterday, I woke up and I couldn't get out of my bed. Like I couldn't function. And I was an absolute mess all day yesterday. But you have to allow yourself that because people are so busy doing projects and being busy that they're not dealing with the actuality of what is going on. And what is going on is you're grieving or you're processing or you're hurting, whatever it is, right? And so people don't allow that because why? I always say, like a 3-day grace period, right? When somebody dies, you know, that week before they do the services and the burial, your phone rings off the hook. Everybody's sending food. Everybody's doing this. Everybody's doing that. After everything's over, what happens? Silence.
Mm-hmm.
And now you got to deal with what just happened. So I think that a lot of times people do not allow themselves the processing time, right? And the time to grow from it because, right, at that point, I mean, we don't know why things happen. I always say, what are you supposed to get from what happened? And so when I first started doing this show, you and I you were one of my first guests, and you and I had a conversation before that. And I said to you, well, I don't want to go too deep. I don't want to be too heavy because people don't want to hear that. And you said to me, well, that ain't you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
how are you going to do that if that's not you?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I think that the best advice for knowing what your purpose is knowing who you are.
Yeah, no question. Yeah, you can't. It's sort of like um, it's sort of like being fit. You go into like a wardrobe fitting, right? And this person who has a great idea about what they like decides to put you in a
Right.
dress that is
Uh-huh.
like disgust, and you're like, and they're in their mind, you look fantastic. You
Right.
look in the mirror and you go, I don't look
Uh-uh.
like me.
Uh-huh.
So now you sit
Something's
there and
not
you
right.
go, yeah, it's all wrong.
Right.
And
Right.
then they go, no, you look fantastic. This is going to be great. And you go, this is not me.
Me.
This is
Mm-hmm.
not me. So now guess what? You aren't going to look good in that piece
Right.
because as you walk in it,
Yep.
you're walking around with the notion that you
Yep.
don't look good in it.
Yep.
So even if the piece itself, by itself, the piece is great,
Right.
it won't look great on you because
Right.
you're walking around with the thought that this doesn't state properly who I am.
You don't own it.
I can't own it because I know it isn't me.
Yep.
So everything that we do in this life, I'm at a place in my life now where I feel bad for people who don't understand why they're here. I
Hmm.
have a great deal of empathy for people who have no look, watch this. You don't have to take my word for it. Let me just put it into proper perspective for you real quick. What if I said to you that God, Allah, Jehovah, the universe, whatever you call your higher being that you look for spiritual center. What if I said to you that that spiritual center, that higher being created you to simply wake up in the morning, go to work,
Mm-hmm.
go back home, go to
Mm-hmm.
sleep, do the same thing all over again until Friday, get a check,
Mm-hmm.
go to the weekend, get drunk,
Mm-hmm.
uh, pass
Mm-hmm.
out, wake up,
Mm-hmm.
get up Monday morning, do the whole thing all over again, and that's the only thing that your life means. What would you say if I told you that the higher being that you look to for spiritual center created you to have that life, and that's it? What would you say to me? You'd
You
be like,
know, that's a
that would
really
be
great
that would be
perspective.
ridiculous. That would be ridiculous,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because
Absolutely.
because because we know we were created for something deeper than that. Well, why is
Mm-hmm.
it that if we put it in that context
Right. It
and we
makes
gain
sense.
it right, that makes sense? Why
Right.
is it that that's the majority of that's the way that the majority of people that we encounter, that's the way they live their life?
Yep.
Work,
Well, a
the
lot.
paycheck, get trashed
That's
over
it.
the weekend, do it the whole and do it all over again the next week.
Empty. Well, a lot of people are empty, and so you find that the more I don't know if I don't even want to use the word evolved, but the more self-aware you are, and the more at peace you are, I think that you see things very differently. So, like, and then energy speaks too. So you can, when you're around those people, you kind of get that that's all they got to give. Like, there are a lot of
Hmm.
people that there are a lot of people, like, we have friends, right? And some of our friends are better friends than others. Why? Because some people don't have anything to give you. And I don't mean, obviously I don't mean gifts. I mean, emotionally, spiritually, whatever. They got nothing to give you because they are on empty. So I always tell people, you can't pour from an empty cup. So a lot of people, have these friends, and you have to know that, some, like, growing up, right? We had friends that we would hang out with, that you would go clubbing with. Then you had friends that you had, that you called when your life was upside down. We have different categories, if you will, because certain people do not have this. They don't have the same capacity. So the people that are getting up every day and going to work and coming home and going through the notions, they don't have anything else to give you because that's all they got. So a lot of times people, and you know what? Sometimes some people do better with those type of people, because sometimes there are emotionally needy people as opposed to emotionally unavailable people. And I know I tend to navigate towards emotionally unavailable people. And that's because I am such an emotional person that if I have somebody that doesn't have, I don't want to say control over their emotions, but if they're overly emotional, it will drain me. So
Hmm.
a lot of times I go with emotionally unavailable people, which they don't fulfill me.
Of course not.
So, right. So it's like a catch 22, right?
Yep.
And I
Hmm.
recognize that and I see that. So
Hmm.
that's why
Hmm.
sometimes people expect so much out of somebody. You have to realize that you ain't getting blood from a stone. Like, that person may really care about you and they may really love you, but that's all they got.
Yep. No question.
So it's
No
it's
question.
hard, because if you surround yourself by certain, that's why, to be honest with you, I stay home, I'm quiet, and I have my own little circle. I don't go beyond it most of the time unless I'm in a different place. But when I'm in a fragile state, I'm very conscious of the people I keep around me and the energy I keep around me.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, we have to figure out who our tribe is. We
Right.
have to be able to properly identify who our tribe is, right? It's important to have, because energy is really, look. This is how important energy is. Are you playing marbles over there? What's going on?
Me? Oh, you know what it
Yeah.
is? Yeah, you know what?
Is
Thank you
that
for
your
telling me.
bracelet?
It's my yes.
Is I'm a husband, remember?
Oh my God. It's so funny how the mic always picks up my goddamn bracelet. Oh my God, that's so funny. Thank you
um,
for letting me know.
of course, of course. So this is how prevalent energy is in our lives, right? So one day we have a 20-month-old Rottweiler, right? And we also have a Frenchie, and we have a mutt, who's a mix of a few breeds. Um, my Rottweiler, I do have to say, I love all of my dogs, of course, but I hate when people say, "Well, I don't have a favorite." Yeah, you do. My Rottweiler is my favorite, right?
Mm.
And it's everything about him. It's his size, it's his confidence, it's his aesthetic, it's his energy. It's his energy, right?
Uh-huh.
And so my uncle-in-law came over um, last year for the first time, meeting him, and um, when he came in and immediately the energy of our Rottweiler, Deuce is his name, and he got his name Deuce because he's our second Rottweiler. Our first one passed away a few years ago, and now he's our second one, so I named him Deuce.
Aw. I mean, I've seen
So
him. I just want to eat his face,
he's
but
forget it. You'll love Karen.
so
You'll
cute. I
like
know.
just
I know. I know.
cuddle with him, kiss him.
I
He's
know.
just a
I
big
know.
love. Oh my god! So all of a sudden, that cuddle, cute, lovable
Mm.
energy left him.
Changed.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yep.
My wife was like beside herself because this is her favorite uncle, and
Uh-huh.
how could you, and what are you doing, and so on and so forth. And so while I corrected his initial behavior,
Mm-hmm.
I had to understand it,
Right. Why is he acting
because
that way? This
it's coming from somewhere.
right.
I began talking to my uncle, which is my again is my wife's uncle. I
Mm-hmm.
don't like using the phrase in law. That's just my
Mm-hmm.
uncle. So I started talking to my uncle. I said, and we just started talking about dog experience. And what I extracted from his story was that he was
Mm-hmm.
bitten
I knew
by
it.
a Rottweiler when he was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And so his energy in meeting Deuce
Yep.
was that Deuce was an
Rea
assailant,
right.
right?
Reenacting. Yep.
Totally. So he was like uh, leery of Deuce. Now,
Right.
Deuce can't read that you're reacting this way because you were traumatized when you were a kid.
Right.
All Deuce can
Right.
react to is, wait a minute, your energy is off. You've got like this sort of, off energy, and that
Yep.
feels dangerous to me
Right.
because it feels like you actually could attack me.
Yep.
What Deuce
The
was basically sending him was, yo, bro, I
yep.
don't like your energy because it feels like you're going to do something to me. And I'm telling
Yep.
you right now, you're
You ain't
not.
doing it.
You're
Right.
not doing it.
Absolutely.
Right. So he was sending a very specific message to my uncle. Yo, man, fix your energy.
Mm-hmm.
Fix
Energy
your
don't lie.
energy. No,
Energy don't lie.
animals don't have racism. Animals don't
Yep.
have sexism. They don't
Yep.
have colorism. They don't have all the other isms that we have, because those are learned behaviors. So animals don't have that. What they do have is energy. So what I learned
Mm-hmm.
from my dogs is I don't pick people according to color, politics, any of those other things. I pick
Mm-hmm.
people based off of energy. I sit in
Absolutely.
the company of people, and if I get good energy from them, I'm like, I
Mm.
gotta connect with this person. If I don't
Yep.
get good energy from them, I simply walk on.
Audi. Audi.
Yes,
Yep.
5,000, right?
Yeah.
So literally, we have to become more like our animals in that they lock into energy. And here's watch this. I guarantee you, and this is for all of our sisters sitting there listening, because I know every single one of you has done it. You will get around a guy as a single woman, get around a guy, get bad or off energy from them, and still proceed because you like his pecs,
Mm,
his beard,
mm-hmm,
his shoes, his watch,
mm,
his
mm-hmm,
car, his
mm-hmm,
position, whatever that is. You still
mm-hmm.
proceed despite the fact that the energy that you're getting from him says, run,
Warning, warning,
run,
warning.
and you're still
Beware.
proceeding, right?
Yeah.
So what we
True
got to
that.
get locked into is locked into what our animals lock into, which is
Yep.
energy. Don't sit
Yep.
there and ask questions. That is your spiritual center that is designed to help you better navigate life.
Yeah, very true. I mean, and I've had this conversation because, that happens a lot when you meet people, right? Like if you meet a friend of somebody and right away you meet that person, 2 seconds later, I'm like, and that no, but they come off like that at further, and I'm like, okay, so sometimes the energy doesn't lie. Sometimes you can jump to a conclusion, but for the most part the energy doesn't lie. So in the regard to like your dog, he wasn't being prejudiced, if you will, towards your dog. He just had this experience and he carried it with him. So
Mm-hmm.
your dog was the bad guy, which if he calmed down long enough and the dog would have felt him calm down, then
Mm-hmm.
he could have been licking his face 3 seconds
Mm-hmm.
later.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all a matter of whether or not you will allow it to go to that point. And like you said, you are smart enough to say, okay, what's going on here? Because this isn't my dog's normal behavior. So after,
Right.
5 seconds, you realized why the energy that this man was putting out, he didn't not like your dog, he just was afraid. And
Mm-hmm.
your dog picked up on that. So a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times, we do have to kind of sort of, you trust your first instincts, but then sometimes you got to go in a little bit and just see if there's that thing there, that may help solve the puzzle, so to speak,
Yep.
beyond the energetic part. But I have to just say, I want to say thank you to everybody. I know we've had a lot of people on here that were commenting, Tony, Pauline, Carmela, and there's a few other people here. I just want to say thank you. It's not like I see Chris was here. There's a bunch of people that were here. I don't want you to think we didn't see you guys, but when me and Dondre start talking, it could be like 6 more hours. I'd be like, all right, I gotta go. I gotta go pick up my son from school. Um, so it wasn't that we didn't acknowledge that you were here, but I am actually. Me and Dondre are going to try to do this again when his schedule permits. So you're
For
not going
sure.
to, you're going to get to do this again. Hopefully, I know he loves me, but hopefully he at least liked. Did you have fun today, G?
Come on, man. Come on. Don't start asking crazy questions.
All right.
You
Well,
and I
I'm just
could
saying.
have well, we could have fun over plastic bottles. So
Yeah,
yeah,
well, I think we
of
I
course
think we have.
we have.
I think
Yeah,
we have
yeah,
done that.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I just my conclusion to what I want to say to this in terms of passion, versus purpose. I It's interesting because Dondre and I know each other, like I said, God, since 1983, I think it was. No, no, yeah, 1983, I want to say. So I did the math and it's like way too many years, right? So we'll just leave it there. But um, we know each other a really long time, and our um, our lives have definitely twisted and turned in many different directions, right? And you went on your path, I went on my path. We always, connected somewhere. But what's very interesting is that, who you've become today, because obviously when I knew you, you were an actor, you were training to become an actor. And you were a working actor, and you've taken everything from like one side to the other, if you like, all spectrums. And now, you're an author, you're a coach, and you said that acting is your passion but not your purpose. And
Right.
so it's interesting that you've written your book, and you found your quote unquote calling, right? I hate to use it like that, but
Hmm.
you found your calling in the sense that you have used your pain to try to help others. And I have kind of gone 360 as well, and I've done the same thing. And I started these shows because I saw people make comments after, like, I lost my husband and stuff, and it was sobering to me to see how many people were in so much pain, but it was never okay to talk about it. It was
Hmm.
never okay. Like I was raised, don't let them see you cry.
Right.
And I was brought to my knees in such a way that I couldn't help but let people see me cry because it just took me over. And I realized that there wasn't anything wrong with that. And I realized that my pain helped, and I mean this in helped other people, and meaning that me dealing with my pain and other people seeing that helped them. And that was why I wanted to do my show, because there are so many people that don't talk about so many things. They brush them under the rug, they brush them under the table. Nobody wants to really hear how you're doing.
Hmm.
You just say good, right?
Hmm.
So, it
I
does.
don't. I don't say good. By the way, when I'm not doing, when I'm not, if I'm not doing well, I don't say good. I say
Right. And I learned.
yep.
Yep. No, I got
Yep.
that. You're right. And so
Hmm.
that's what I mean about learning to own where you are.
Yes. Yep.
So, to everybody out there, so this is the reason why, like, and Dondre and I, I definitely, I want to do this again with you, because I feel like when people listen to these things, and they see you living through them, they understand that they're not alone. And when you're going through painful times, you always feel like you're not alone, that nobody understands, nobody gets
Yep.
it, because what you're going through is different than what everybody else is going through. And it
Hmm.
is, because it's your experience, but it doesn't mean that somebody else doesn't understand what you're going through.
Hmm.
So I have tried to use my pain for purpose. And like you said, pain equals passion, equals purpose. So for anybody out there that is in pain, for anybody out there that thinks that they can't do it, we're here, living proof, telling you, you 1000% can do it.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. You you were. That's the reason why you were born in the first place.
Well, there you go. So I just want to leave people with that, because I want them, I always try to, make people realize them when I end the show. I want them to have some, like when you watch the Rocky movies and you leave and he wins and he, the underdog and all of that. And you walk out of there and you feel like you can, like, you own the world, right? So I feel like every time I end my show, I try to, especially after we talk about real deal stuff, I like to end the show with people understanding and knowing that you can do it too. Because listen, me and Dondre, we're just regular humans. We don't have superpowers, but our
Yep.
superpowers are now that we used our pain, it turned it into passion and made it into a purpose. So if we can do it, you can do it.
No question. Well said.
So Dre, I love you. I will
Love you
stay
more.
on with you for like the next like year. I would just keep talking, but we all got shit we got to do. But I do. I love you. I thank every one of you that have been listening today, and I encourage you to share this. I will post the recorded version of this for anybody that didn't catch it live. For those of you that are listening, and you want to follow, you go to Real Talk with KarenStacy.podbean.com and hit that follow button, and you can listen to this on any of your favorite podcast platforms. And Dondre, do you just want to tell everybody the name of your book and where they can find it if they want to?
The name of the book is called Male versus Man: How to Honor Women, Teach Children, and Elevate Men to Change the World. And you can find it anywhere that you buy books: Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Books a Million. Anywhere they sell books, they sell Male versus Man.
There you go. So, Dondre also has an amazing, acting career and everything as well. So, he does it all. And I don't know, I got to see him. He co-hosted with, Kathy Lee, right? Am I saying that right?
Kelly Ripa.
Kelly. I'll be all right. See, this is why my brain doesn't work. But Kelly Ripa, and we were talking about it. I never watched those morning shows, and for some reason, I was flipping through the channels, and I saw Dondre. I was like, my Dondre is on? Like, what is this? And he was awesome. He was her co-host, and it was funny because me and Dondre have this really, like, we're just very close, and whenever like we're around each other, we're always very affectionate and close to one another. So when I saw him on with her, I got a little jealous, but it's all good because it was very sweet to watch. And I was happy to see you. I felt like we visited together. So I can't wait until we get to visit together because life is short and it's been too goddamn long.
Definitely, and I can't wait to share with everybody what me co-hosting with Kelly Ripa was all about.
No doubt.
And that will be coming soon.
Good.
But yeah, this is this is all good, and of course, being able to spend time with you is always good time for me. We go so far back; it's just crazy.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No
And the
doubt.
next time,
Well,
what we'll do is we'll get on and maybe have some people type in some questions,
yeah.
because I'm sure that people had
Yep.
questions and all that kind of
Yep.
stuff. And then next time we'll
Yep.
just have them type in questions and address that stuff.
Yep, we will. I'm holding you to it. So
Yep.
I got to run. I love you. I love everybody.
Love you
Thank you
back.
for tuning in. And we will see you real soon. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, Dre. Thank you,
Bye,
Dre. I
baby.
love you.
Love you.
Bye.
I love you more. Bye,
Love
baby.
you. Bye. It would help if I knew how.